Our Across the Aisle segment tonight, Senator John McCain announced today he will vote yes on the Senate GOP tax reform bill. Despite the bill's flaws, according to Senator McCain, he will provide what is most likely the deciding vote in the Senate. Here's the thing, though. Democrats are going wild over this bill. They say it's evil, amoral, anti-woman, devastating to the poor, only beneficial to the rich, greedy, you name it, every bad name in the book. But most of the claims made by Democrats who attack this bill are false. So what's their real problem with cutting taxes then? With me now, attorney and Democratic strategist Adam Sostrin. Adam, good to see you.
Hello, Liz. It is fantastic to be here with you today.
It's always good to have you on the show, Adam. Now, I want to go through this. We did a segment yesterday called True or False on the claims made by liberals against this Senate GOP tax plan. Most of the claims are false. And I want to go through these because I really would like to drill into the minds of Democrats and see what their problem with this bill is if the claims that they're making are false. So I'd like to start with this main claim that this is going to raise middle-class taxes. That's not true for the majority of Americans. It's only true for, I guess, upper middle-class people in blue states who have high state and local income taxes. So if this doesn't raise taxes for the middle class, why are Democrats, especially congressional Democrats, why are they opposed to cutting taxes?
You know, it's funny, whenever we're on, I kind of feel like it's watching the Harlem Globetrotters, and you're the Globetrotters, and I'm the other team. So anyway, having said that, the issue with respect to the middle class, that people making $75,000 or under, after 10 years, the tax cuts are supposed to phase out. People that are earning $30,000 right now are supposed to take a bit of a hit. And then we just had this recent thing that came out today, as you know, by that joint tax committee in Congress, which basically said, no, in fact, the tax cuts, it's not going to finance itself. So that just came out. I don't know if that was before or after we had sort of the change with respect to Mr. McCain. We had no idea what he was going to do. No
idea what he was going to do. But that's actually one of the arguments that liberals are making, that these tax cuts will be phased out after 10 years. But that's Senate procedure. I mean, regardless of what the tax reform plan that's presented, they have to be quote unquote temporary. It's called the Byrd rule. So it almost seems like that's a red herring that Democrats are using to say, well, it's not going to be permanent. It doesn't matter what the bill is. It can't be permanent. You have to pass a secondary part of it.
Well, and they also say that the debt's going to go up by $1 trillion too, the tax committee. So I understand that there's these procedural things that happen, and they do. But the reality is the reality. It's not exactly a fix-all, stopgap kind of thing. That it's just everything's going to work. People are suddenly going to start hiring people because they're having these tax cuts. That's not at all clear, at least to this committee that's investigating, what are going to be the tax benefits to the economy if this thing does go through.
Well, and that's another thing. I mean, it seems to me Democrats keep saying, oh, this is going to raise the debt. And it's a valid concern, but it seems odd to me that they care about raising the debt now, but they didn't care about how much debt was added when they passed Obamacare and all of the other humongous government programs under President Obama.
Well, of course, Liz, as you know, you choose this and you choose that. But another awful thing with respect to the bill is getting rid of the individual mandate. Obviously, that's going to be absolutely terrible with respect to the Affordable Care Act. Premiums will rise. I think they said there's going to be about 11 or 13 million new uninsured as a result of getting rid of the individual mandate. So I don't know how you feel about that, but that is certainly something that's sort of packed into the Senate bill. I think probably the same thing with the House.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should have repealed Obamacare. I blame Congress for not doing it more smoothly than they have.
Well,
I don't think the government has a constitutional right to force us to buy health insurance or penalize us if we don't in the way that they do. I think that by just unpacking the individual mandate in this bill, it will disrupt Obamacare and it will cause people to lose insurance, but that also provides incentive for both Republicans and Democrats in the House and in the Senate to actually fix Obamacare and repeal Obamacare and not leave it the way it is. Because as it is right now, premiums are going up. They're going up all the time. They're expected to go up higher in 2018. And not as many people as Democrats would like us to believe have actually gained insurance because of Obamacare.
Well, repeal and replace was the only thing that was actually, less popular than with respect to this new measure going through with Trump. So, the Republicans cannot figure out what to do with health care, and it's something that scares me. It should scare you and everyone else.
It does. No argument there.
Right? That we can't seem to figure this out.
No, they campaigned for so long on repealing Obamacare and they couldn't do it. I mean, you and I have different, I think, end goals that we would like to see, but we do agree that they botched it up. But back to the tax bill for a minute. So liberals are claiming that this will only benefit the wealthy, and I mean, this is just false. Regardless of what your ideological views on what you want the tax system to look like. It's simply false that it's only going to benefit the wealthy, because the wealthy, the income tax rate only goes down by, at the largest amount, 1%, whereas middle class and lower income people are going to get increased tax credits and a lower rate to pay. So I don't exactly know what Democrats are basing that argument on, except that they like to vilify the rich.
Well, again, in those states that have sort of the high property value taxes, with the blue collar states, there will be rises with respect to how much people are paying in taxes. And then, as I said initially, with respect to those brackets of 75,000 and 30,000, that's an issue. But the real thing is, when people are talking about,
I want to clarify though, whose fault is that those people's taxes will go up?
What do you mean, whose fault is that?
It's the fault of the Democrats in the blue states. I mean, here in California, we have an enormous state income tax. If we don't have the state income tax deduction anymore at the federal level, then it's the fault of Sacramento that we're paying so much income tax in our state. That's not the fault of the federal government. It's the fault of the elitists in Sacramento who forced that on us. So shouldn't we blame them for that and not federal government?
There is this largesse that's going out to the wealthiest Americans, and it's absolutely a fact that they want to go with respect to the larger corporations, 35% to 20%. And in fact, we even think that these people are going to be paying less than 20%. I remember Trump was trying to sell this as something that's sort of, we're going to get rid of loopholes. I mean, I think if I were to devise some kind of tax bill, and that's not my background, Liz, I do criminal law, but I am sort of on the left. If I were to devise a tax bill, I'd want to create something that sort of eliminated all the loopholes. It's my understanding that that's not happening in this bill. So although we're hearing that there's going to be this reduction from 35% to 20%, in fact, these corporations may be paying even less.
But my question is, ideologically, what's the problem with corporations paying less? When corporations pay less, yeah, people profit, the owners profit, but so do the workers, and so do the people who are hired onto those corporations, so do the consumers, because the products created and produced by those corporations cost less. I mean, the benefits run the gamut, so I don't understand the ideological problem with a lower corporate tax rate.
Listen, I don't think we have time to talk about supply-side economics in the next 30 seconds that we have. but there's a lot of issues with it. And in fact, I've read things from these different, these corporation owners that are saying, just because I'm getting this tax cut, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to hire new people. And they said right now at this moment, people aren't already thinking about investing and buying new factories and such because of sort of a conservatism that people have with respect to what are going to be the added benefits to the economy if we're going to have a tax cut. It's not absolutely clear.
I don't know. That's anecdotal, and we've seen what happens when you lower taxes. We saw what happened under Ronald Reagan. I wish it was actually even lower than it is. Adam, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate talking to you.
Thanks for having me, as always.
All right, guys, our final tipping point of the night: the war on women raging in our country, and guess who is guilty as sin? You guessed it, the Democrats. We'll be right back with more.